The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands hath he recompensed me. Psalm 18:20. The word rewarded establishes divine justice as the foundation of God's dealings with his servants. This isn't an arbitrary blessing, but a response to righteous behavior. The phrase, according to my righteousness, doesn't claim sinless perfection, but describes David's genuine pursuit of God's will. Righteousness in Scripture means a right relationship with God expressed through obedient actions. David maintained this relationship despite external pressures to compromise. According to the cleanness of my hands, uses physical imagery to describe moral purity. Clean hands represent actions free from corruption, violence, and deceit. David refused to harm Saul despite multiple opportunities because such actions would have stained his hands with innocent blood. Hath he recompensed me shows God's active role in balancing the scales of justice. Divine recompense doesn't always come at once, but God keeps accurate records of righteous behavior. This recompense includes both temporal blessings and eternal rewards. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, and have not wickedly departed from my God. Psalm 18:21. The phrase, kept the ways of the Lord, describes consistent obedience to divine commands. David didn't just know God's requirements, but followed them in his life. The ways of the Lord refers to the laws God established for his people. These include worship practices, ethical standards, and relational principles that distinguish God's servants from surrounding cultures. Have not wickedly departed emphasizes the intentional nature of faithfulness. David faced many temptations to abandon God's standards for immediate advantage, but he refused to compromise his relationship with the Almighty. From my God shows the personal nature of David's relationship with the divine. This is not distant religious observance, but intimate connection with the living God who knows and cares about every detail of human experience. For all his judgments were before me, and I did not put away his statutes from me. Psalm 18:22. The phrase, all his judgments were before me, describes a constant awareness of divine standards. David kept God's requirements in view rather than ignoring or forgetting them when convenient. His judgments refer to God's decisions about right and wrong behavior. These judgments provide clear guidance for moral choices and establish boundaries that protect both individuals and communities from destructive consequences. I did not put away his statutes from me shows active retention of divine law. Many people learn God's commands, but then distance themselves from biblical standards when those requirements become inconvenient. His statutes represent the specific laws and principles God established for righteous living. These statutes cover every area of human experience and provide practical guidance for complex moral decisions. I was also upright before him, and I kept myself from mine iniquity. Psalm 18:23. The word upright describes moral integrity that remains consistent in both public and private settings. David maintained the same standards, regardless of whether people were watching. Before him acknowledges God's constant observation of human behavior. This divine awareness motivates righteous conduct because nothing can be hidden from the Almighty's penetrating gaze. I kept myself from mine iniquity reveals David's understanding of personal weakness. Rather than claiming immunity from temptation, he guarded against specific sins that pose the greatest threat to his spiritual life. Mine iniquity suggests particular areas of vulnerability that required special vigilance. Every believer faces certain temptations more strongly than others, and wisdom involves recognizing these patterns and taking preventive measures. Therefore hath the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands, in his eyesight. Psalm 18:24. The word therefore connects divine blessing to righteous behavior. God's recompense flows from his just character and faithful promises.